I'm Lee Wolverton, Executive Editor of the Amarillo Globe News.
And I'm John Canellis, Editorial Page Editor of the Globe News.
Welcome to For the Record. We're here with Paul Harpole, and the first question that we have for you, Mayor, is about downtown revitalization. During the election last year, that was all the talk, and here we are a year later, and when you drive into downtown, you don't see much evidence of revitalization. Can you tell us what's happening?
Sure, absolutely. Well, you know, we always want to see shovels in the ground. We want to see things happening, and we're getting very close to that. I think pretty soon we'll strike a deal that'll be finalized with Coca-Cola, begin to move them out near the airport to Centerport, and then I think we'll start to see some changes. We have seen the police station torn down and the old jail, so that's all cleared, and it's prepared, so it'll be a place where the parking garage will go. And pretty soon, you know, within a period of time, we will begin to see activity on the Globe News Center's parking lot where the hotel will go. So stay tuned. I think we're going to see a lot of things happen in the next year or so. But as with any construction project, there's always that time period where you want to see shovels in the ground, and they aren't there yet.
Mr. Mayor, you also campaigned last year on a campaign to rid the city of graffiti. Why did it become so important to you? Why is it so important to you now to address this issue that had not seemed to be on anyone's radar?
Well, you know, I talked to people during the campaign and said, you really need to do something about that. It wasn't my fresh idea. It was an idea that I adopted. And it goes part and parcel with rebuilding our downtown. And we are taking care of graffiti all over town, but we really, we've made a first attempt to clean it up. We know some of it will come back, and we'll go back and get it off again. And we'll win that battle because we're going to be persistent about it. It will take a constant effort. We've studied 150 cities that combine data on a website. And they tell us that it continues. They tell us you have to continue to invest in cleaning up graffiti. But in a size town our size, supposedly there's only 30 or 40 people doing graffiti, and I would guess it's a little less than that. We've made 7 arrests. We've had some prosecutions. We know that people are having to pay some price for this now.
In this age of social media, though, do you run the risk of perhaps, and I use this term, does social media then become sort of a conduit, a way for the taggers or the graffiti artists to get the word out to their colleagues in other communities? Might there be a possible explosion of this kind of stuff?
You know, I don't think so. I think when we had more of an explosion when we had a free wall out at the park on Mirror. We did some other things. We had that sort of proliferated and trained people to do graffiti. I went around the city with a young man that said he'd quit tagging, and he used to be a tagger. And I really think that while I was concerned like you are about that possibility, he said there really aren't that many people doing it. And he said he was doing it when he thought there was no consequences. And he says once these young people realize there's a consequence, he thinks some of it will stop.
As we go into your next year, if we sit down here together a year from now, what will we be able to look at regarding the mayor, regarding you, and say, here are 3 tangible, quantifiable things that we can evaluate your performance on?
Well, I think we have to be judged on what's going to happen downtown. Although we won't see all the projects finished, we have to keep that in the forefront because it affects the entire area. And I think that's a way to build that sales tax base that fills hotels all along I-40. We're not building a hotel downtown and the other venues downtown for just downtown. We're building it so we expand the use of all the hotels along I-40. So that's certainly something that we'll look at. We're obviously dealing with some difficult issues that I wish the state would deal with, but they aren't right now. Texting. I think you can look back at those things, but those are the common things that come up just in the day-to-day life of a city. So certainly I think we're open to judgment on any topic that people want to look at. I think that's the way we learn. As the city evolves, I think we want to watch what's happening with streets. We were able to get an extra penny of taxes this year from our constituents, and we were able to add a total of 12 more policemen with that and an increase in sales tax. That penny helped us produce a lot more effort in reviving streets. I think you can judge me on what happens continuously with that. It'll take 4 years of that kind of effort to bring our streets back to where they should be, so they're on about a 7 to 10 year rotation.
So if we go on a drive around town in Amarillo a year from now, what will we see that's different as a result of your leadership?
Well, I'd say that the staff continues to work, and I don't want to take credit as a leader for all that these 2,200 people do. I think there is some leadership involved, but it's mainly getting things out and getting things done. Our parks are making a transition. We've got a new golf course that's going to open up. The transition in the parks is going from cold weather grasses to warm weather grasses, and we're doing a lot of things like that you'll be able to see visibly. But I think keeping the city clean and keeping the taxes down for producing the services that citizens want is going to be important. So it's a balance of how much do you spend on water for parks, how much do you spend on maintenance for parks, how much do you spend on the looks of the city. We're going to be doing some other things with TxDOT. They found a little more money that we can work on to start adding to the security and the viability of our loop. You know, I describe Soncy Street as a busy street. It's not a loop. And we're finding some ways with TxDOT to resolve some of those issues. There's about 10 features they'll put on Soncy from 34th down to the freeway that will help alleviate that. That'll happen over the next couple of years, but we're planning those things right now. So, gee, I'd be happy to go on a tour with you and we'll point out some things, but it's hard to predict that year's future. Okay, we'll go.
And John, did you have another one?
One quick question on red light cameras.
Sure.
Do you expect to expand the deployment of red light cameras throughout the city?
I think it's important that we study it. We will move one camera from about 3rd and, 10th. There's one on 10th Street. It's not Harrison. Anyway, there's one that we will move. It's not very effective right now. And in studying that, we'll also look, because we'll look at the priority areas where they should go. Staff will recommend to us whether we should. I think if they expand, we may add a couple. Hard to say. But I think they're effective. I think there's a lot of controversy about the numbers and all that, but from at this point, with the data we've been given, we feel they've been effective.
Well, that's it for this edition of For the Record. We'd like to thank Paul Harpole for joining us.
Check back with Emerald.com for the next edition of For the Record, where we will interview newsmakers from around the community. Thanks for watching.